Do you think that individual actions, yours and mine, will be enough to solve our current ecological crisis? No? Why? We do our best, don't we? I try to do as much as I can on my own. I mostly bike and walk. I shop more smartly, carefully considering what and how much I really need. I enriched my cookbook with plant-based recipes, which actually turned out to be quite delicious. You should give it a try. You don't even need to become a vegetarian to make a huge difference. I even decided to switch my career to environmental engineering to work on these challenges full-time, because I saw that the pace of change was too slow. Maybe you too are already living a much more environmentally light lifestyle than a few years ago. And that is great. It does make a difference. Adjusting just what we eat and how we move around can decrease our individual annual carbon footprint by more than a ton. And there are other benefits. It makes both us and the planet healthier, and it often saves a bit of money. Imagine multiplying that by millions. But it is not enough. Our individual actions are like a piece of a puzzle. You can't make the whole picture without it, but you need other pieces as well to complete it. And that's because there are limits to what we can do as individuals. But what is the next step? What do we do when we have reached our individual capacity, but want to do more? And how to do more in a world where so few people seem to care? You might be surprised to learn that there are more people around you asking the similar question. Think about your friends, family, colleagues, people you pass by in the shop or sit next to on a bus. How many of them do you think would support a strong action on climate? Research tells us that most of us would underestimate this number. We tend to believe that others do and care less than us. We live in a paradoxical situation where most people think that they are silent, caring minority, living in a world that doesn't care. But we actually are the majority. Scientists have a term for this false belief: pluralistic ignorance. And it is clearly an obstacle in reacting to our environmental crisis. When we don't see enough action around us, and at the same time we believe that others don't care, it can diminish our own willingness to act, because we think that we are just too few to make a difference. It makes even simply talking about more sustainable lifestyle choices more difficult if we assume that our positions are fringe and unwelcome. We might just carry on, maybe taking small actions privately, away from the eyes of those who we feel might judge us as weirdos, while at the same time we think that they don't care. And our hesitancy to share clearly what we would like to do and see in the world feeds a vicious spiral. It hinders our ability to seek out others. It guides our actions inwards instead of reaching outwards. But there are two sides to that coin. Once we accept that there must be like-minded people around us, joining forces with them now seems much easier than before. Let me illustrate this with a story of how just a simple chat between a few people can start something new, and why there is now a climate cafe here in Oulu, just 150 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. In spring 2023, I attended a 3-week-long online seminar called Climate Crisis Masterclass. It was a series of lectures by top scientists, journalists, and activists about many topics related to climate: the science of the climate change, the role of our economic systems, and cultural norms in perpetuating the crisis. We were altogether about 50 participants. We mingled through Zoom, and we kept in touch afterwards. And we shared our stories. Stories of people who set up educational workshops, who were actively writing their official elected representatives, participated in protests, or organized citizen groups to influence the decision-making in their towns. It was refreshing to see people taking such diverse action. At one point, the conversation came to the climate cafes. Climate cafes originate from Scotland. They are community-led spaces for anyone who wishes to meet and talk about the climate crisis, its impacts, and its solutions. The idea is to be open, low threshold, accessible, and inclusive, making sure that there is no barrier to just come and chat. A concept as powerful as it is simple. I got interested in this and started wondering if we could have one ourselves here in Oulu. It would be a real action to bring people together, to start something new. But was there anyone around who would be interested? Who would come to chat there? After all, if anyone here wanted such a thing, they would have set one up already, right? If we had a climate cafe here, I would certainly join. But setting up one myself? No. Those things are better left to people who know what they are doing and how to organize such things. And so, although I still found the idea of climate cafe interesting, it was on hold. About 2 months later, I was attending a public lecture on the future of energy systems. After the lecture, there was a lively conversation with few other people. We were just chatting about all things environmental. And at one point, we started wondering why Oulu does not have an open discussion space for these issues. And so I threw out the idea of climate cafe. We quickly agreed that our city is missing this and decided to move forward with it together. And you know what? We did not need an experienced community leader to set it up. What we needed was just to discover together that someone else cared about the same issue. When you have that, things just start flowing. In a few short weeks, we managed to set up the Finland's first and the world's northernmost official climate cafe. It took a bit of searching to find the right place and a little bit of work to advertise. But with just a few posts on social media and several posters around the city, our first meeting was attended by 30 people. 30 people who showed up to what was a completely new event in town. After all, it turned out, there were people around who were interested. We did have a climate community here. It was always here. The Climate Cafe just provided a new space for it to express itself. And it all happened because a few strangers discovered that there was a shared interest. We can't solve our global problems with individual actions alone. And we don't need to. Because whether we realize it or not, there are people around us who care about the same things as we do. Joining with them and traveling on a path to a better future makes the journey easier. We, as humans, are social species, and being a part of the group gives us energy and inspiration that can keep us going. It gives us an opportunity for human interaction in a world where we are often just passive consumers of streams of information. The human connection is especially important when we are dealing with something as stressful as global environmental crisis. An active, supportive community acts as a shield against the feeling of being overwhelmed. And it also inspires others to show up, or maybe even take up their own action. Seeing positive change creates more positive change. The vicious spiral is turned the right side up into a virtuous spiral. A group of such allies can also lead to larger, bolder actions. A discussion in the Climate Cafe in the town of Blairgowrie in Scotland led to a project for energy savings in households that is helping thousands of people to reduce their energy bills by as much as 20%, while preventing tons of planet heating emissions. The people of Dunkeld and Burnham, the birthplace of the Climate Cafe, are saving 1 million liters of water per year, thanks to the water saving campaign supported by the community. Such communities are all over the world, from climate cafes to transition networks that focus on local resilience, to countless small, diverse groups with their own ideas and challenges. The actions of people inspired by these communities help to reduce food and energy poverty, enable circular economy practices, work to restore local ecosystems, and much, much more. A group of people with a common interest can also amplify our shared message. They can give us a stronger platform for a dialogue with decision makers who are instrumental in setting up a better framework for a more sustainable society. This is an essential ingredient in a transition that is socially just. No policy can survive long enough to be effective if it does not earn the support of the people who are affected by that. By giving us a stronger voice for an active participation in a political dialogue, communities enhance our sense of agency as citizens. The power of communities in a socially just transition has been recognized even at the highest levels of European Union. New directives have been set up that make it easier for citizens and communities to join together and start renewable energy projects. In the end, even the creation of our climate cafe here was a community effort. It took one community to start the first climate cafe in Scotland. It took another one to spark the idea of having our own here in Oulu. And it was the people of Oulu who made it possible by showing up, caring about the idea, and supporting it, and who keep it alive. And without the support and encouragement of a few others, I would not be standing here today in front of you to share this story. It is exciting, powerful to be part of something larger than yourself. I would like to share this experience and pay it forward. We don't know whether our actions will make a difference in the larger world, but we do know that we have built a foundation from where we can try something new, faster. And try our best we should, because to not try is to choose to fail. I know it can be daunting to reach out to others, but give it a go. Look at the people around you as your potential allies who share your love of the planet. Just perhaps they, too, are silently wondering how to go forward into a better future. So take the first step and speak up. It will turn out better than you expect, because we are the majority, and we can heal this world together.